Okay.
Love it or leave it. We kind of already know the answer to this one, but I'll ask you. Love it or leave it. Protagonists meet in the first 10% of the novel.
Definitely. Definitely. Yep. Love it.
Uh, love it or leave it. Dual point of view narration.
Yes, love it. Love it. I love to read, but I got to say, since I've been reading these women's fiction books so much, those are single POV. I think it's harder to stay in single POV as a writer because sometimes you want to get something across. It's a lot easier if you jump to the other male, female POV, which also part of the reason I like that. Like initially, I read all those Harlequins where you never knew what the guy was thinking until the last 3 pages of the book, where he finally admits that he loves her. I really want to see that relationship more. I think you see it more from both sides, especially in straight up romance when you have dual POV. So, love dual POV.
Yeah. All right. Love it or leave it. Third person past tense.
I think historical has to be third person past tense. I, as a contemporary reader, really tossed around the idea of doing first person. I've written some first person contemporary novellas that were past or present tense. And the hard thing is when you go back to third, it's really hard to stay in one of them. But I feel like with historical, the way we're setting up the world, especially in Regency, there's a formality to it. And I don't know, like about younger readers, if they would be more open to the first person. I do feel like having written some and reading a lot in first person, it causes me to get a deeper third person. Like I do
Mm.
want to have a deeper third person past tense POV, and I, I like just really trying to still make the reader feel like they're in my heroine's brain.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Love it or leave it. Third act breakup or dark moment.
Mm. I think in historical, you kind of gotta love it. I know there's a lot of contemporary books out there that are kind of abandoning that. I've had some that are close to not having the black moment. I hate when the moment, it cannot just be a misunderstanding because it drives me bonkers. My sense of reality cannot withstand that. But I do like to have something that pulls them apart, and then they both have to make a strong decision to be back together. And that kind of completes their character growth to that point. But yeah, so for me, I have to say love it.
All right. Love it or leave it. Always end with an epilogue.
I know readers love it. And when I don't do it, I get in trouble. I When I read a book, I once the characters get together, I kind of lose interest. So I'm so bad. I'm so bad, but I know that before too, when I was just reading books and not writing them, I don't know if it's my ADHD that got worse or what it is, but I did like to see them together. And so I have to go back to that time of when I liked that because I really think readers really want epilogues. And when I've added bonus epilogues, readers really love those. So I really try to do that and just put myself back in that. It's funny because I that yeah, when I read though, I'm like, oh, they're together. Figured that one out. I'm done.
That is funny. All right. Love it or leave it. Always share research in your author's note.
I only share something like that if I have defied what research tells me. Like I know I think I had might have been Silent Night in a Christmas novella I did once, and I was like, nope, I realized this was not a thing at that point, but for such and such a purposes, I did have a trigger warning in the book about the cutting because I don't that could actually harm the reader. I That's the only time I've ever done a trigger warning is because I understand that if people read about it, it can actually trigger them into cutting again. So, but yeah, I not many author notes for me, honestly. I do the research, but I get so caught up in the the characters, their motivation that I think that's I don't know. I find things out in the research that I think are interesting. I don't know. I just kind of I get antsy. I'm kind of just getting it out there, getting it out there, getting it out there. But certain things, yeah, I've done a few.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's actually a lot of work to keep track of all of your research and then write it up in a way that people will understand and then get it into an author's note in a short enough format so that it won't be another novel. and then like by the time that you're writing the author's note, you're like, I just need to get this to my advanced reviewers.
Right.
Okay, well, and are there any romance rules I didn't ask you about that you do like to break or
Romance.
push the envelope on?
I think my characters, I cannot glorify the way that the dukes and stuff, the way they were making their money, the imperialism. And so I always like to have my good guys are like they're trying to figure a different way to make money so that they can make sure that the people they're good landlords so that their tenants are safe. And I cannot justify in my mind glorifying a bad guy. So
Mm-hmm.
that would be the rule that I do break. And of course, then my heroines, they're really spunky, so they'll do all sorts of things. And it's interesting. I think there's times where you can be a little more subtle with it. Mary Baylog, I think, was really good at being later in her books where the heroines had this agency. And she gave them a very subtle form of agency. And I think that's the trick with historical. You want to give your heroines agency, but it can't be too in your face. So,
Right.
unless they're kidnapped, of course, and they're just off by the beach somewhere.
Right,
So,
right. No, absolutely.